What's up, everybody? Doriso here for episode 34. Is another stock market crash coming in May 2020? Yes or no? Leave your opinion in the comments below. I'll discuss my thoughts on that question later in the episode. For now, let's go over my personal portfolio management strategy if another crash is coming. If you're already subscribed, you already know I've been growing one of my stock portfolios from zero to infinity, since there's no cap to how high this stock portfolio will grow to. If you're looking to grow your stock portfolio as well, then click that like button. It sounds like we may be on the same journey. Before we get into my strategy, these are just my thoughts. I'm not a financial advisor, so never buy stocks because you watched someone on YouTube. I have different goals from you, and you will have different goals from me. So to begin, you'll notice I started this portfolio at the beginning of January 2020 at zero. Perfect timing, right? We just had a stock market crash to start the year in 2020, and while others were fearful when the market was declining, I was purchasing more and more stocks with a very small portfolio. Every episode includes a portfolio update screen, as you see here, documenting my stocks and value at the time of the recording. For my first portfolio update, episode 1, I had a $0 balance on January 6, 2020. For episode 2, I started to deposit money and began purchasing stocks to start the journey. My first stock was Fiverr International, and I bought 4 shares during that time with a cost basis of $25. As the episodes continue on, I began adding more money to my cash position and purchased more and more shares of Fiverr, Penn National Gaming, and eventually Apple and Starbucks in my later episodes. You'll notice the cost basis per share will go up and down depending on the purchased stock price of any new shares. I have yet to sell any of my stocks in this portfolio at the time of this recording since I have a long-term outlook on all of my current holdings. I've discussed many factors to my bull thesis for all 4 stock positions during this video series, which is meant to be watched in order, just so you know. The quality for the first couple of episodes was not very good, but hopefully you've noticed the improvements as I try to make each episode better and better. You'll notice as we move along with each episode, I redesigned my portfolio layout starting in episode 22 that shows the company name, the current value of each company position, the quantity of shares, the cost basis per share, the cash position, and the total value of the portfolio. Each episode has a YouTube thumbnail with the portfolio value in the bottom left-hand corner to track my progress. Just so you know, I always round down. So for episode 22, the value was $2,402 at the time, and I put $2,400 in the thumbnail. Since my goal is to grow this stock portfolio to infinity, the most important metric I prioritize is my stock portfolio balance rather than just looking at my dividend income each month. I plan on growing this portfolio primarily from capital gains, some dividend income each month, plus adding more cash along the journey. My main priority is increasing the quantity of shares for each company since I look upon myself as a part owner of companies I plan on holding for a long duration. If my companies make announcements that change my overall bull thesis, I will eventually sell and make adjustments to my stock portfolio. I'll keep you updated if we hit that point in the future. If you look at all of the portfolio updates closely, I haven't bought any new shares of stock since episode 27. I've been holding on to 39 shares of Fiverr, 5 shares of Apple, 42 shares of Penn National Gaming, and 5 shares of Starbucks. You'll notice the cost per share has remained the same. As the weeks tick by, the portfolio has primarily grown in value because my stocks have been growing up in value. That's my ultimate goal, increase my portfolio balance sooner rather than later. To do that, I prioritize growth stocks with upside potential. I want to find companies, in this case stocks, that will put my money to work without me having to constantly add money each episode. I did add a bit of cash to my cash position for episode 30. Since this is my personal investment strategy that I developed over the past 10 plus years of investing, you will probably disagree on many of my thoughts and opinions along the journey to infinity. That's perfectly fine with me. You should always have your own logical reasoning when making investments. To summarize, my main focus is to grow this stock portfolio and my thumbnail balance each and every episode. The only way my stock value will continue to grow is if I take massive action and constantly buy stocks in companies that will grow for future years and decades. Remember, everyone builds a stock portfolio at their own pace. Looking back, this portfolio started at $0 to start the year in 2020, and then it grew to $100, and then that $100 turned to $200, and so on. As the portfolio levels up, performance starts to kick into overdrive. This means that a 10% gain or loss when the stock portfolio was $100, that was only $10, right? A swing of $10 up or a swing of $10 down. Now that the stock portfolio is over $4,300, a 10% swing up or down is $430. As the portfolio grows to $10,000 and then over $100,000, performance will be very important because the size of the deposits will need to be much higher to keep the portfolio growing during these big down days, which will always come, especially if there's another stock market crash coming. And even if I pick the best performing stocks in 2020, high performing stocks will always have down days, and that's when I normally look to buy more shares of stocks. I rather buy low and sell high versus what a lot of beginners do, which is buy high and sell low because they get emotional and panic when there's bad headline news. Think about this. If I can't emotionally handle 10% swings of $430 down, then how am I ever going to handle swings of $10,000, let alone $50,000 plus in one day? This is the main reason I removed green and red colors with percentage gains or losses from my portfolio update screen. On green days, you feel like you're the best investor of all time. On red days, and they will always come, you feel like you don't know what you're doing. At this moment of time, I am perfectly fine seeing my stock portfolio going down because I'll be able to increase the quantity of shares at lower prices whenever possible. If another stock market crash is coming for round 2, I look at that as an opportunity to buy stocks of quality companies that I believe are undervalued when I look back on the stock price 5, 10, 25 years in the future. I know I can't time the market perfectly, so I'm a believer of time in the market is the way to go versus timing the market. I don't think anyone on this planet can time the market perfectly on a consistent basis. Unfortunately, my DeLorean time machine is still in the shop getting fixed to predict if another massive crash is ahead or if we see a double bottom. Rather than make predictions, my goal is to use logic to make investment decisions based on facts and my personal belief system. I will always attempt to look past any short-term bad news announcements as long as they don't change my overall opinions of the growth trajectory for all of my holdings. As we have seen from history, bear markets, recessions, and stock market crashes have been great opportunities for building wealth. That is, if I have liquid cash ready to go when the time comes. I know it will take me years and not just weeks or months to see the big results that I want to achieve. As I continue to monitor trending products or services in my daily life, online and offline, I plan to act on those trends. Sometimes as short-term investments, depending on the trend and my overall opinion on the business model that I understand. Depending on the size of my portfolio, I do believe there is quick money to be made in short durations if I'm right. At that time, I will have to make a decision if I want to sell and take profits, even though it may only take a couple of weeks or months for my short-term bull thesis to be right. In regards to portfolio management, 10 to 20% is perfectly fine for short-term investments since I'm young and I have plenty of time to recover if any of my stocks don't perform to my expectations. Now, those are my personal thoughts. You might be different. Right now, I'm looking to keep it simple. I'm not an expert in every single industry or sector on the stock market, which is why I only invest in a few stocks that I understand. I primarily focus on the technology sector, restaurants, consumer products, but I never limit myself when I feel strongly about a company outside of those sectors. Here's a quick and simple rundown if you're new to the channel. Fiverr. I understand small business owner goals of increasing revenues and reducing expenses whenever possible. The best way to do that is to outsource work to talented freelancers anywhere in the world. That's where Fiverr.com comes into play. On to Apple. I understand people are attached to their iPhones and the Apple ecosystem. Starbucks. I understand people love coffee and many people need energy to get through their busy work days. Penn National Gaming. I understand people love sports and people like to gamble at casinos, even though many people don't even have the money to play with. Barstool Sports is working on a sportsbook app. To conclude this episode, I'm happy I started this journey from zero to infinity because I'm seeing progress from where I started. I know if I continue on this path and I stick with my investment principles, I'll reach my unique goals of this portfolio being much higher in the future than it is today. I'm glad I'm sharing the results on this channel because maybe there's someone out there that needs some encouragement to get started with their own unique journey. It may be a journey of investing and growing a stock portfolio. It may be a journey of living a healthier lifestyle and getting in the gym each week to work out. It may be a journey of working at McDonald's, getting minimum wage with the dream to be a CEO of their own company someday. Everyone has their own unique journey starting at zero or at the bottom of anything we start. And sometimes we all need a bit of encouragement when we feel lost or need some motivation. For those reasons, Mr. Zero to Infinity was created. Mr. Zero to Infinity is that motivating presence that encourages you to accomplish whatever you put your mind to. Are you committed to being happy no matter what happens to you? Are you living every day to the fullest? I think life is too short to let negativity get to you, especially with what's going on around the world right now. We all have our own unique struggles each day, and that is why positivity is the name of the game. Let's end it there. Play the music. As always, this episode is not intended as investment advice. Do your own research prior to making any investments. Read the disclaimer on your screen fully. Remember, all opinions in this episode are mine and mine alone. I'm not a financial advisor, and this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Maybe I didn't earn your subscription from this episode, but there's always next episode. It's free to subscribe, and my favorite comment from last episode is on your screen. Feel free to check a couple of my earlier episodes if you just came across the channel. The episodes are meant to be watched in order. Remember, we're just getting started. I appreciate your time for this episode. Thanks again for watching. Let's keep building from zero to infinity. Mr. Zero to Infinity has his cool looking glasses on and told me to tell you, you got this.